Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending on where you are. Welcome to C Dreamin'. First of all, thank you for taking the time to be with us. Just a quick reminder, please use the live Q&A feature in the AirTouch to submit any questions. Today, we will have our speaker, Hussain Fazal Ullah, to talk about building your career as a Salesforce product owner or manager. He is a computer science engineer, Salesforce evangelist,
Hello,
3.8 times ranger, technology geek with consulting attitude. He has been a core committee member of Hyderabad Trailblazing, an active member of the UAE Salesforce Developer Group, and have been a lightning champion. All right, I'll let you take it away, Hussein.
everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good day to each one of you. Those who have joined in today, I know you all have joined from various locations across the globe. So, yeah, happy to have you all on the session today. So, before I get into the details, I would first want to thank the entire team of C Dreaming for organizing this session and then helping all the fellow trailblazers to connect and have something virtually. A quick introduction of mine. So, my name is Hussain Fazal. I'm currently working with Etihad Airways in UAE here with as a Salesforce product owner for the last 2 years. And before this, I worked in India with the technology giants like Deloitte, TCS, and Appirio in the capacity of a business analyst, Salesforce developer, and a Salesforce solutions consultant. I currently have three active Salesforce certificates, and also I'm a certified safe product owner, product manager. Yeah, that's pretty much about me. And now, as you all are aware of the fact that we are going to talk something about building a career in the Salesforce ecosystem as a product owner or a product manager. The reason I have chosen this topic to present today here is because of the fact that I transitioned myself from a developer or rather a consultant to a product owner, not because it is a lucrative job, of course, but alongside I also have that passion and a thought to do something more beyond just feeding in those lines of code and getting a feature delivered to the customers. The reason I chose to get onto this journey is because, of course, while I was working with other organizations, writing code and solving a problem or completing a user story or the task assigned to me was gratifying, but of course not that satisfying to me. I realized of late that I'm not someone who would just be writing code or those lines of codes to get a feature executed. So I was more interested towards a client focused role or a customer centric role wherein I can look at a comprehensive problem and then derive a strategy to solve it from idea till implementation. So today in this session also we are going to talk about the journey of a product manager or a journey of a product starting it from the ideation phase till its go live phase, and then also we'll talk about how do we look at the adoption part of it. And of course I know the 30 minutes given to me is not going to be sufficient to help you understand how does the project management or the product management stuff works. So I'll try my best to give you a comprehensive strategy to help you understand the birth of a product till it goes live. So moving ahead, we have put up a comprehensive agenda. Let's get started. And yeah, so I really like to, in a way, session that I talk about stuff. I really like to give quotes, and this is one of the very much relatable quote that we have today. One of them is with the fact that digital disruption and digital transformation is happening across the globe, and then we say that software has become a primary part of our life, be it starting off our day with an alarm and to whatnot, from our maps to everything and anything that is happening in our life. We are very much dependent on the software. So, of course, Mark Anderson that has quoted, "Software is eating the world." Or if you want to work on a product that you feel should be successful, then it should be think it should then you must truly think of your customer first and build something for them, which actually is a kind of statement that you can make on a product management, because product management role is more customer centric or a user centric role. So moving ahead, the mandatory slide that we have to put in for the sponsors. Of course, we have got some amazing sponsors on the list who helped us to get onto this seed dreaming successfully. Okay, so now a little we have talked about uh, product management, and we might have heard this product consulting, etc., etc. So what I really want to kind of give you a glimpse is that in a typical IT environment, we kind of have a project mindset as of today. When you look at all the organizations who are working on Salesforce or any other technologies, they kind of have a project mindset. So project mindset is technically is something that is focused within timelines, within budget, and also it has a certain list of things that needs to be executed basis on the budget allocated and the timelines given. And on the other hand, when you look at a product mindset or a product methodology, what product mindset says is that it is specifically designed keeping the customer in the center, and it focuses on the end goals of the organization than just having a short-term goal. So the emphasis here is on the return on investment. It is to understand the customer pain points and come up with a solution that will help the customer to get rid of those pain points, and which eventually will cater to the greater customer experience that we have. So this is one of the mindsets that we have to grow now, that we have to look forward to, because a majority of the organizations are now moving away from the traditional or the typical development modules to following some agile methodologies or kind of product mindset. When you look at the smaller organizations who are doing the Salesforce consulting today, is more of product driven strategies that is helping them to understand the customer pain points, and it is easy for you to tackle the problem and then come out with the strategic solutions. Moving ahead, of course, what I have talked about is the product management mantras, or, or the five values that you would want to deliver to your customers when you are a product manager. So first and foremost thing is, like, when you work in a project mindset, you kind of look at the number of features you're giving out to the customer. So let's say if you're working on a sales transformation project, you would say that I have five features that will help you to manage your leads. That gives you an option to capture your leads from your websites, from your internet portal, from your emails, or from whatever XYZ reasons. But when you talk about product management, you kind of have to deliver value, be it one feature, but then the feature should be able to solve a particular problem for the customer. It's not the number of features that matters here, it's the value that one feature adds here. Maybe a small checkbox on a screen that enables them to hit a integration to some other service and get some data and feed it into Salesforce. So that can be a great feature, and it adds a lot of value to it, rather having five fields on the screen when the user has to feed in that and then it goes back and forth. And second thing that the second mantra is, good is the enemy of great. Of course, we all want to do something great in terms of our solutions and all that stuff, but we often, because of the crunch timelines, and often because of our certain limitations, we kind of stick to good. It means, be it a simple wireframe that you're building or a prototype that you're building, you kind of think that okay, it is good to go. But when you are in a product role, you actually have to find out ways to make something great. The reason is very simple, because if you are not making it great, then you would not be able to convince your customer to use it. And the next thing is, silence is not success. So in majority of the project management or typical support or product project roles, what we find is, like, if there is a go live that has happened, we rolled out a feature, and then we kind of try to keep quiet, saying that okay, this feature has gone live, people have liked it and they're using it. However, the reason it is not success is because once things have gone live and once things have started to be utilized in the organization for the users, then if you're keeping quiet, that means you're not successful. What you have to do is, you kind of have to look out for So look out for feedback loops, try to attract the audience and the customers to understand what is that they have been using it for. Is that the problem they requested is solved with the solution that you have provided? And the next is on the adoption of your particular solution or a service that you have offered. So the most important aspect of a product manager or a product role is that you have to look out at the aspects of adoption. So while you work on a project environment, in certain cases what happens is like do as directed is going to happen, wherein you would be assigned with a particular user story, you kind of work on it and then get it delivered, and you're least interested, or rather you are not aware of the fact how is it impacting your business and what value it is adding. But when you are a product manager or a product owner, what you have to look out for is to kind of work on adoption as well. So you have to understand how many people are using the feature or the product or the service that you have offered them. Are there any roadblocks again after the release and all that stuff? So you will have to analyze the KPIs that you have around you in terms of usability, accessibility, user friendly of the feature and all that stuff. And of course, the last one is on the launch of your product. So in general, when you work on a typical project, you just enjoy, or rather you kind of celebrate your project go live, or the success party on the launch day. So for a product, the launch day is just the day one, so it just has gone live. So that doesn't mean that you have, I mean, it does not mean that you cannot celebrate as such, but then of course you also have to kind of look at various ways and means to gauge the performance of your product and the system. You kind of have to sit with your customers and key stakeholders to measure your KPIs around it, and also to identify the problem, is it solving, to what extent it is solving, and the return on investment analysis you have to do. So that's a little about the product management mantras. And one of the things I really find fancy these days is the job titles that people are getting. But what I see is, and what I feel is that it is more important for you to how you see your work than the actual title, because title does not define what you do in the organization. And same goes with the product management or a project management role in the organization as well. Now, moving ahead, like my journey, or how does my day in the organization looks like when I come into the office in the morning, and what do I do as a product owner or a product manager. But before I get in there, I would just want to kind of help you understand who all can become a product manager, or who is a product manager when it comes to Salesforce product manager as such. So first of the key things is, of course, a you will be having to know the knowledge of Salesforce, or rather you can be a subject matter expert. And you should be a growth hacker. Of course, growth hacker is not someone who just sits and does some random rocket science and gives you growth. It is someone who is thriving to help people solve their business problems and provide a solution that would be used by people. And that's how you define your growth of your application or the product. And of course, the strategy part of it, because not every product or a service that you launch will be successful. There will be times wherein certain features or certain products fail. So you have to be a strategist and you have to adapt to changes and all that stuff. Then there is the hat of a solution seeker that you have to wear always. You kind of have to look at the root cause analysis of the problem. How does this problem exist, and what measures we can take in order to solve this problem? Then you would be able to solve it and kind of get into the role of a product manager. So what do I do, or what other product managers in the Salesforce ecosystem do is a little different as such. It also depends on the organization that you're working with. So one of the things that I am involved is on the product strategy, or or the service strategy that we have. So I currently work with the cargo business unit here in the organization, and we look out at the sales and service transformations. So one of my primary responsibility is to define a strategy and a roadmap for my product. How do I see how would this product be helpful to my customers or my users in order to solve their problems. Then also have to link my business model to what can happen in Salesforce. Is it possible to do in Salesforce and all that stuff. Then other part of my responsibility is to look at the requirements of requirements, and also have discovery sessions with my customers and key stakeholders. Then work with different teams in terms of engineering team, designers, developers, testers to develop the product, then take it to the market. So that's the launch or the go live part. And then the last part or the most important aspect of any product is the evolution and growth of the product. So we have to look at how it is being used in the market, and what values it is adding to the existing businesses and all. And along with that, there are a few things that we have to cater to on a day-to-day basis is on the customer issues that we get in on a day in and day out basis, that kind of help our agents or support units to understand what needs to be done. Then work on crucial reports to help customers understand, or rather the stakeholders understand, the return on investment or the value of the system that we have built. Then features or the product details that we have to prioritize. Then work on a strategy to reduce bugs in the upcoming releases. Moving ahead, as I've mentioned about attributes, so I would also want to talk about certain aspects that will make you to become a Salesforce product manager. As you all know that we are heading into a product specific organizations. As such, when you look at a lot of our app exchange companies or our Salesforce partners, they are into product development. So maybe you would have a question like, I'm currently an administrator, I'm currently a developer, and a majority of our admins or developers or senior developers have a focus only to get into the technical zones, or be someone who just sits and write code. And maybe if you ask 10 developers like what is that you want to do in future when you grow in the organization, or maybe 5 years from now, their ultimate goal is like they would want to be a Salesforce technical architect or a system architect or an application architect. 8 out of 10 people would answer the same, but hardly you will find people who would want to say that, okay, I would want to understand the entire product portfolio of Salesforce and help customers build solutions and improve their return on investments. So when you walk on the road of becoming a product manager or a product owner, it is this particular role is more of a customer centric role, wherein you get a chance to talk to the customer, understand their problem, and design a solution around it. So what if you are a developer? What do you see? How do you grow as a product manager? Yes, of course, there are different types of product owner or product manager roles that we have. So if you are a developer, you can be a technical product manager who will act as a, or who will liaise between the development team, the engineers, and the customers. So since you already have worked on the development side of it, you will have much clear idea of how do you how do you dictate your requirements, or how do you dictate your problem to your development team. So there are few attributes or characteristics that as a resource you should possess to become a product manager or a product owner is, of course, the in-depth knowledge of your Salesforce platform, and now with a lot of products within the Salesforce ecosystem, we see are coming up. Earlier, we only had Sales Service Marketing Cloud, but now we have seen a plethora of products that have come in. So you kind of have to have understanding of a lot of products that are in the Salesforce ecosystem: Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Marketing Cloud, Experience Cloud, Tableau, Analytics Cloud, even on the Force.com platform. Then, of course, when you work with customers, you would want to look out at third-party app exchange products that would help them solve their existing or current problems that they are facing. Then there's something called as commercial awareness, which is one of the key traits that you should possess. It's not just the solution that you're giving, it should also be a solution that will help them drive their business, a commercially viable product you should build. because when you are trying to fetch a business objective to drive a solution, you would be having to do a cost benefit analysis. So wherein when they invest some X money, how is that they are getting some returns on that. And one of the key aspects of a product manager, or for that matter, what I feel is that any of our developers should also possess is the soft skills, especially on the communication part. We should be very clear and assertive in terms of communicating whom we are delivering this solution to, when is that this solution will be available, or how is that this particular problem is solved, why is that we are doing this solution, and all that stuff. And along with that, once you have assertive communication skills, you will be able to present it better. Then a few of the factors is that when you're working in a customer centric role, one of the elements that should be looked at is the stakeholder management. Not everyone is easy to manage, because of the cultural gaps that we have across the globe and all that stuff. Lastly, as you all know, we kind of want to leverage out of the box features that we have within the Salesforce platform to provide a solution. You have to have a thorough understanding of the platform so that you can devise a solution saying that okay, this is a low code solution, no code solution, or you should have to write custom code around it. So these are the few attributes that you would want to explore into if you want to get onto the role of a product manager. Now moving ahead, I know what you have seen so far is something that you would be able to resonate to what a consultant does. And yes, more or less, there are few things that overlap when you talk about a consultant and a product owner or a product manager. But when you look onto the details of it, so if I have to talk about a consultant, so a consultant is more or less someone who does recommends a solution then providing a solution. So for example, if you look at a particular customer, let's say there is a customer who cloud biz who is using our Salesforce instance for managing their sales and then the entire leads and opportunities. So one of the managers out there says that okay, I currently have this system in place, but then I don't see an adoption. People are not using it. What do you think I can do? How do I make it user friendly? So what our consultant or as a consultant you would do is like you look at the system, analyze it, look at the numbers, look at the data, and do some market analysis, kind of get insights and recommend that okay, you know what, if we follow these things, we will be able to increase our adoption and our systems will be up and running. So it is more of a strategic role where you don't build anything as such technically, but you would come up with the recommendations. And now after those recommendations, after having those discussions with the customer, that will be routed to the development team or the support team that you have in the organization who would work on it. However, when you look at the product role is very much into a solution specific role where you kind of give a solution to a particular problem, and it will be a working model that you have, and you kind of understand the customer's pain point and come up with a solution. You work on the adoption part, defines a feature roadmap, and you kind of work closely with your engineering team, that's your developers, then you have your designers, marketeers, and the growth teams, etc. One of the key things that as a product manager you would be doing is looking at the pros and cons of features that you have in the list, and you would be coming up with a weightage amongst all those pros and cons, then you kind of fit it into your list of items that you want to deliver. So now moving ahead, as we have talked a little about how do we look at the product management and the product development part. So now once you are into the shoes of a product manager or a product owner, you actually have to develop the product. And how do you do it? So we have various methodologies and frameworks available in the market, but amongst that, one of the most widely used and at the enterprise level is SAFe. So SAFe is a scaled agile framework. So that's a Scrum at an enterprise level. The Scrum that we talk about is a smaller version, which is for a small cross-functional team. And product management or a product manager plays a crucial role in SAFe. as this particular team is responsible for strategizing and understanding what the customer is requiring, and then also is essentially looking at prioritizing features. So what does or how does the squad or the team of a product folks look like? So on top or in the organization, you'll have a product manager, then there will be a couple of product owners, then you have your engineering team, we call it as, which has a lot of developers, designers, testers, and all. Then you will have business owners and the customers. So there's a thin difference between business owners and customers that will not get into the details. And once you have your team ready, then you would actually look at identifying your epics, features, and user stories. So epics are something that are high level description of features that you want, and features are like the second level description. So for example, if I say that I want to define a CRM system, it becomes my epic. Then features will be like, what does the CRM system should do? It should be able to track my sales activities, performance management, and all these are our features. And when you drill it down to the next level, user stories is something that we all have worked on. So it is the granular level of details that you give. So it starts off with, as a sales executive, I should be able to do this, do that, and all that stuff. Then there's something called as definition of done sprint demos and POCing that the product manager is responsible for during the development process. Now, moving ahead, many of you would be wanting to embark on the journey of a product manager. So, one of the reasons could be you are a developer but want to understand something. Why is that you are developing a particular piece of code? So, you would want to embark on this journey. So, how do you do it? So, what I would suggest is like, there's no hard and fast rule, or there's no foolproof system that, okay, you do these five things, you'll become a product manager. It is basically the passion and the enthusiasm that you have to kind of upskill and then move into wear those hats, multiple hats. Like for example, now if you're working in your organization, from being a developer you would want to step up and look at the product manager or product owner role. You kind of started within the organization because you are aware of the business, you are aware of the technology, you are aware of the solution, so you kind of want to add that value and do that. So one of the things is that. Then second is maybe look out for freelance projects, or start side projects. Maybe you can just use a case study and kind of build a prototype around it, and look out for various features and all that stuff. Then you will have to wear multiple hats, as we have seen earlier in the slides, that the product manager is not just about sitting in a corner and giving a solution saying that, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps are done, that's it. He also have to look at the commercial part of the product, and he also has to look at the adoption and all that stuff. And if you have noticed, like the problem solving thing has been constant on all the slides and all the discussions that we have done so far. Then one of the essential things of becoming or stepping up into the role of a product owner or a product manager is building relationships. Then the most important aspect of all that is understanding the customer pain points. So that's a little of what you can do in terms of getting into the role of a product owner or a product manager going forward. However, this is one slide that I've made up to kind of help you to navigate. So this is called the pathway that I have built. So this is a guide to embark you on the journey of becoming a product owner or a product manager. So what happens actually when you look at these stages? So if you remember in the first or third slide, we kind of had this ideate, research, design, launch, and adopt as the product manager life cycle. So what do you do in the ideation process? So this is basically the initial step wherein you discover and understand what is that you want to do. You will have your kickoff sessions with your customers. You will review the as is process. You will kind of define the future state and identify the customer problem. Then you have your brainstorming sessions with your technology leads, your product managers, and then your customers to kind of come out with a proposed solution, or a proposed service that you want to design for. Then what do you do in the research phase? So once you have your ideation successfully executed, you have your research phase where you talk about the way how Salesforce is going to help you, identifying the key stakeholders, having those workshops, conducting those user interviews to kind of fit in those gaps that you have found during the ideation phase. Then and then you will look at bottlenecks, proposed solutions, etc. So during this phase, you also will be able to identify the requirements and chart out your documents like your functional requirement, non-functional requirements, feature prioritization, PI planning, that's program increment, then listing down those features and mapping into epics. Then in the design phase, you will have your development that's going to happen there. After which the development is again in a program incremental model. Then you go into the launch phase, product launch, and of course the last one is you will measure the adoption and then kind of have those feedback loops with your customers. That's all I have from my side. I am done for the day, and then I am open up for any questions if you have.
All right. Thank you again, Fazal, for sharing all of your expertise in product management. So now let's go through some of the questions here. So, what should be a guided learning path if someone wants to get into some Salesforce product owner or Salesforce manager? Can you share some online learning links for doing that?
Hey Joy, thanks again, and thanks everyone for attending this session. And yes, the guided learning path as such is, of course, the platform that we have, the Trailhead. And then there are a lot of trail mixes, and there are a lot of Trailhead modules that you can look at, and also there are a few generic product manager or product owner links that are there. So maybe if I can share it, I'll just drop a link here so they can just refer it.
Sure. Yeah, maybe they can also connect with you on LinkedIn or
Yes,
on Twitter, right?
yes,
So
definitely.
feel free to search Fazal's name. So yeah, and then we
Mhm.
have another question from Rizul. So, do you think there are some certifications that you need to be a product owner?
Hey, Rizul. So, firstly, it's an inspiration to see you as a speaker on this forum. Again, the answer to this question is that certifications as such, you should be having some certifications around your Salesforce expertise, but not necessarily that you should have a product owner or a product manager certificate again. So, there's no hard and fast rule that you should be a certified product owner or a product manager.
All right. There's also another question from Kyrul. So he's actually new to becoming a Salesforce developer. And what is the best strategy for him to boost the Salesforce knowledge, especially if he wants to be a product owner?
Okay, so now people transitioning from non-Salesforce background to Salesforce, then heading into the journey of a product owner or a product manager. Few things first, like don't just hop in here and there. So what I suggest is like when you're transitioning, so maybe use your functional expertise and kind of understand how that can be done in Salesforce first. Then, as you have mentioned that you are a new developer, so kind of understand what Force.com platform has to help you. What are the features that you have in the Salesforce ecosystem? Then to transition onto the product owner role, so you kind of have to first understand how Salesforce will let you solve a particular problem. And a few of the things I suggest to all the trailblazers who are planning to become experts is, apart from your job related projects, you kind of look out for some freelance projects, maybe something that you have as a case study, gel out with other developers in your community, or maybe talk to your friends and bring out some sort of innovation that you have to kind of solve a problem. So that will help you.
All right. So we also have a question regarding the roles and responsibilities. How can you differentiate being a Salesforce manager versus a Salesforce product owner?
Uh, so that's a lot of confusion that comes around this particular topic, is that we always find that okay, you are a Salesforce manager and you're a Salesforce consultant. How's that it different from a product owner? So as I've mentioned in my slides as well, that there's a thin difference between being a manager consultant or being a product manager. Is that as a manager you are responsible for the overall delivery of the project, so you don't look at the solutioning part of it. You are responsible to kind of deliver that. Okay, a customer has come to you, they want to have a Salesforce system built. I'm a project manager, so my responsibility is I'll deliver that Salesforce system. But for the product owner or a product manager, you are looking at that customer's pain point, identify what are the pain points, list them out, then solve it by walking into their shoes, from product, from plan till product, from the ideation phase till the implementation phase. The product owner is responsible for it, be it in terms of identifying pain areas or solving that problem with a simplified solution and all these things. And moreover, they work on the vision of the customer. They try to make their problems that they are facing in day-to-day life, to solve them, to kind of make their journeys easy.
Right. Great. Yeah, actually, that's it for the questions, since some of the others are duplicates of what you've already discussed. All
No,
right.
no problem.
So thank you again, Fazal, for sharing your expertise on this one. So for the participants, just help us to improve the session by completing the session survey after each session, right? So you can also earn gamification points by submitting survey. So we'll have some prizes for you. So all right. Thank you again. So look forward to the next session. So we'll see you in the next room. All right.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you.
everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Joy.